Let's take a look at the final division, the Pacific Division, recapping the 2025 NBA Draft. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and life could be a dream. Shaboom, shaboom. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. Summer League about to start. Might have already started by the time you're watching this. This is the sixth and final NBA Draft recap show, talking about all the players that were drafted, signed to two ways, Exhibit 10, Summer Leagues, whatever data I've got. I am recording this one in advance because I am currently away, and by the time you're watching this, I'm probably at Summer League watching the draft picks play. It is kebab day, so get your best kebab in. What's your favorite? Do you like a lamb kebab? Do you go mixed? Chicken? What do you do? Or do you do the, I don't even know what it's called, the pack that I normally get from the goat kebab houses around here. You get the box with the two dips, the salad, the rice, and then the mixed meat and the bread separate. You can put it all together in a kebab. I like it when we get the separate pack. I can't remember what it's called. Someone let me know? Let me know. I'm all ears. Let's talk about this Pacific Division, which is a division obviously without many high draft picks. In fact, the highest draft pick in this was pick 10. Only one lottery selection because one of the teams are dumb. Well, there's a lot of dumb teams, but one of the teams made a trade in the past that lost themselves their lottery pick. And the Sacramento Kings continue to be one of those franchises. At least they're not the dumbest. They're not the dumbest at the moment, which is unbelievable to say. There's only one lottery pick in this division. That's why I left them until last. So let's talk alphabetically. Let's go through these teams. We'll start with the Golden State Warriors. They didn't have their first round pick. It was traded for James Butler. They did have two second round picks though, and with the first of the second round picks at number 52, they selected Alex Tui. Yes, Tui, not Tuhi, not Tuhei, Tui. Alex Tui from Sydney, 6'9", forward. He's 21 years of age. Very strong steal rate. Playing for Sydney in the NBL. The shooting numbers are okay. He's been on the prospect sort of radar for a few years. He's got good athleticism. He's decently fast. He's a good wing-sized player with defensive ability, shooting ability, some passing ability. I think it's a good flyer at that point. Now, I don't know what sort of contract he's going to be on. And the minutes aren't necessarily going to be there immediately. But the Warriors, Jimmy Butler's a million years old. They're eventually going to go into a rebuild sort of phase. I don't know what has happened with John Kuminga. You probably know. Maybe you can drop it in the comments because I don't know at the time you're recording this. Remember, July 2nd is when I'm recording this. But Tui, again, the odds of pick 52 doing anything, pretty low. But Tui is a guy that in the past has had some first round buzz, and it'll be interesting to see if there is anything that he's able to get out of this. Their second pick, very close by, was another somewhat older guy, a 6'4" guard from Florida, old mate Willie Dick, former Essendon legend, of course. Will Richard from Florida, who, 6'4" guard, has said 22 years of age, shot 36% on his threes, good free throw shooter, good steal rate player, strong advanced metrics for Florida, good projected shooter in the NBA. Probably just going to be one of these guys that, like, oh yeah, he's a guard, he's a wing, he shoots okay, but is there anything that is a true standout feature? He's got the shape of a 3-and-D guy. You'd like him to be a little bit bigger. He's 6'4", but Will Richard does have some interesting numbers. The steal rate is impressive. The rebound numbers are okay for his size. There's a bit to like about old mate Will. And I do think that there is, like, both with him and Tui, I know they're picks in the 50s, and there's like a 4% chance of this working out. I think there is a chance that, some of these guys that get picked there, you go, no way. Like, it's just not going to happen. But for these two guys, I can see one of them turning into at least a rotation player, and I wouldn't be shocked if one of them in 4 years' time is a starter. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not likely. It's incredibly unlikely, in fact. But they're guys that I go, okay, they're interesting enough. Overall, I give the Warriors a C+. It's not a terrible grade. It's not a great grade. They did pretty well at that spot. Nothing particularly exciting. Their Exhibit 10s, LJ Cryer and Chance McMillan. I don't have anything particular to say on those guys. It's just a solid draft given what they had. Making those moves, I like the picks. They're not mind-blowing picks. They're solid picks. And you can't really ask for a huge amount more, I don't think. Let's talk about the Clippers. And the Clippers draft pick of Yannick Konan Niederhauser at pick number 30. A lot of people did like Konan Niederhauser. I did not. He was not someone that was big on my radar. He is someone that had some of the advanced numbers for him weren't particularly strong. The Clippers made this big song and dance. Lawrence Frank talking about, we needed this guy, this rim-running big man to play behind Ivica Zubac. And then, of course, they went out and signed Brook Lopez in free agency. So Konan Niederhauser is just not going to play. And that's okay. It's okay that he's not going to play immediately. He's 22, so he's not like the youngest guy coming out. He's from Switzerland. He played at Penn State. He's 7 foot tall. I thought he was going to go back to college, but he didn't. He does not shoot threes. He does not shoot free throws. His rebound rate is not particularly strong. His block rate is. So he's a good shot blocker. He's a decent finisher. I don't think that he's a starting caliber player in the NBA. I think there's a lot that you don't love about his game overall. He's not a passer. He's not anything that's particularly exciting. The wingspan's fine, 7'3" at a 7 foot height. Like, that's okay. It's not incredible. I just think that it's a little bit of a waste. And he's one of those guys. So the Clippers, we've had praises for their front office in the past, but the Kobe Brown selection I didn't love. I don't love this selection here at pick number 30. These end of the first round picks where you sort of lock into them and then you got to make team option decisions on them. I think they could have done a lot better. Like, for example, we're going to talk about this guy later on. He went at pick 31 to the Suns. I would much rather have Rasheer Fleming in this position or someone else that went to the Kings, Maxime Reynaud. Much rather have those guys than Konan Niederhauser here. I just don't know that he's ever going to work his way even into being a rotation player. At pick number 50, I gave the Clippers, by the way, a C+ haul as well. At number 50, Kobe Sanders, guard from Nevada, 6'8", 23 years of age. So again, a little bit of an older prospect. We're going to see a lot of this with NIL becoming such an important part of college basketball with so many players going back to school. There is going to be a period, probably in a year or two's time, where a lot of these guys that we thought would be drafted in this year's draft, like for example, like a Tahad Pettiford or LeBaron File and those sort of guys, they went back to school, and this is going to happen. But eventually, they're going to get to a stage where the NIL money's not there, or they're not going to get chances in the NBA, and we're going to get this big flooding of upperclassmen getting into the NBA draft, because a lot of these freshman type guys that might have been borderline first round picks will go back to school, and then you'll see a lot of these guys getting drafted at 22. So you'll get the top end freshmen, the 19-year-olds, but these in the top 10, but you will see just so much of the back end of the draft being 21, 22-year-olds as those fringy players, Pettifords and Phylons, go back to school and then come out at 21, 22. Again, that's all just to say that, so we talk about, he's 22. That's basically, I think, what the draft is going to be from now on, from pick 15 onwards, unless things change with salary structures and how many rounds in the draft and all that sort of stuff. But at the moment, you are seeing the lack of depth at the second round of the draft because of players going back. But eventually, they're going to run out of college eligibility and they're going to have to go into the draft. We're going to see a lot of 22, 23-year-olds get drafted. Long way to talk about Kobe Sanders. He's 6'8". He shot 34% from three. Not particularly strong. His free throw rate is good, but that's not really going to matter in the NBA. He's a good passing player at 6'8". I don't know that he's ever going to have those opportunities, but if you can turn him into a .40 sort of a guy, similar. Now again, these sort of things, we're talking about biases and unconscious biases and comparisons. I think, he went to Nevada, so I immediately go, Cody Martin was 6'8", small forward, who defensively is pretty good, and the shooting's iffy, but he can run point at times. Right, so that's what I think of when I think Kobe Sanders, one of the three Kobes that was in this draft class, and one of the other Kobes went in this division as well. So he is an interesting enough player, but overall, you're talking about the guys from the Warriors, like Tui and Will Hardy. I think they got more of a shot of being rotation guys necessarily versus what Sanders is. There are other two guys to talk about here. We've got Jamil Talfot at an Exhibit 10. Not someone I need to talk about too much. John Poulakaitis is interesting because Poulakaitis is someone who I saw many people talking about him as maybe a draftable player. So some of you, I didn't actually get deep into looking at Poulakaitis because I didn't have him in that zone. He was he was an interesting sort of guy that I was monitoring, and I just kept seeing his name pop up with many different people in draft circles. No, I just mispronounced his name. Poulakaitis. John Poulakaitis, Greek legend, shot 41% from 3. He shot 41% from 3 the year before that. Guess what he shot the year before that? 40.1. So he is just a bomber. Big 3-point volume, played at Yale, good minutes, scored well. He hits threes. And he hits them at a high level. He's only on a summer league deal. He would be someone, yes, he is, again, if you've heard this before, just stop me. He's a 22-year-old who's a 6'6" wing. Right? That's everyone. A lot of these guys, right? But that shooting record is unmatched. And we've seen, well, it's not unmatched, but it's awesome. We've seen these guys. If you can be a consistent 40+% 3-point shooter, Luke Kennard just got an $11 million deal from the Atlanta Hawks. Can Poulakaitis be a guy like that? Maybe. Like that skill set is valuable. Now, steals and blocks, forget about him. He doesn't even know they exist. Rebounds and assists, never. But elite free throw shooter, elite 3-point shooter, there's something in that. I would hope that he gets turned into a more permanent contract. We'll see. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Last minute, you might sit there and go, what are we doing tonight? Fellas, should we head down to the old ballpark, get some glizzies, chuck them down our throats, watch some ball, dingers, home runs? I don't know. You might want to head down there. That's where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. You save money on the tickets. You can splurge on those aforementioned glizzies. You can get drinks and merch, or invite more people to come because you're getting the tickets at a cheaper price. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. The prices on the app actually drop the closer that you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and lowest price guarantees, which take the worry out of buying these tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I think I hit the wrong button there, but that's all right. We will survive. What are we talking about now? We are talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, who I don't know what else they've done in NBA free agency. There's rumors that DeAndre Ayton could be on this team, so congratulations or commiserations, whether he's there or not, I don't know. All I know is what they've done in the draft at the time of me recording this, on July 2nd. I don't know anything else. Pick 36, I gave them a B+ overall because I love them getting Adou Thiero here. They did not have this draft pick. They traded up, I think, multiple times to get the pick. And that is one of the things that Lakers, we can criticize their front office, rightfully so. Their ownership, rightfully so, because they've made a lot of bafflingly bad decisions. Shout out to Cam Reddish. Shout out to player options on players that don't deserve it. Shout out to the Russell Westbrook trade. Shout out to not investing in a shooting coach. Shout out to running like as if you're not running the biggest brand in the entire NBA. All that stuff we can criticize them for, but what they have done is they've scouted really well in undrafted guys and second-round picks, and they've been aggressive in buying draft picks or trading up in the second round to get guys who can be useful players. Austin Reeves, Jordan Clarkson are two names that immediately come to mind. There are a lot more of them. I love that they traded up to get Adou Thiero, who is an interesting player because you can look at the numbers and go, the shooting is horrid, and it is. Right? It's not very good. He played at Arkansas, but one of these players that you go, oh, he's a defensive wing. Okay, that's true. He shot 26% on threes and 69% overall. Really bad. He averaged 2.1 steals and 0.9 blocks per 36. That's good. But also, he was a 26 usage player. Okay, so he found a way to score 20 points per 36 minutes without being a shooter while being an elite level defender. Now, he does not need to be a scorer currently on the Lakers with, and again, I apologize, Lakers. I don't know. Has LeBron been traded? There was whispers of it a week ago. He might have. But with Luka, with Austin Reeves, you don't need Adou Thiero to be a scorer. They lost Dorian Finney-Smith. Thiero could easily, maybe not immediately, but jump into a role like that. Best case for me is like an OG Anunoby type who's got usage scalability, but elite on-ball defense. And Anunoby was not a shooter at all coming out of college. I have some irrational hopes on Thiero developing into a starter. And I am not a Lakers glazer at all. Many Lakers fans would tell you that I hate the Lakers, which is not true. I just try to objectively analyze. The only people I truly hate are Raptors fans. And that's obvious. Like, why? Of course you would hate them. Why wouldn't you? I try to view this stuff objectively. So I criticize the Lakers when they make dumb decisions. I love this decision of getting Adou Thiero. I think that he could be nothing. He could be absolutely terrible. The shot might never come around, and he might be Isaac Okoro, but worse. He could be old mate Olivier Maxence Prosper, who's been useless in 2 years. But I have some real hopes that usage, The shooting, maybe, but the defense could be at a good level. I also like the fact that they went in there with one of their two-ways and they got Eric Dixon, someone who I believe that I had inside my top 40, at least inside my top 45 as a draftable player. Dixon is a shooter. Simple as that. He is a shooter. He shot 40% on threes, 41% to be exact. He scored 23 points a game. He hit all 3 threes a game and took 7 attempts. Having shooters around Luka Doncic is huge. Now, he's on a two-way. They've had a lot of success with two-ways. Not always for their own team. Shout out to Jay Huff and Scott Pippen. And Alex Caruso even, who did have success for them, but then obviously moved on. Was Austin Reeves a two-way? I think he might have been. So they have success with this, right? I don't know whether Dixon's going to be as good as these guys. Of course, he is an older player. Wow, I heard that before. 6'8" shooter who's 24 years of age. But he's a shooter. He's got size. I like it. They took Golden State Warriors legend Sarunas Marciulionis' son, Augustus Marciulionis, on Exhibit 10. Arthur Kaluma, who had some draft buzz a couple of years ago, and RJ Davis on Exhibit 10s. Nearly every year this happens. I always, for whatever reason, love what the Lakers do and love what the Sixers do in general in terms of what they do with undrafted free agents. They seem to be the teams that are always like, man, I love that. Like, wow, you got this guy. Okay. It doesn't always work out, but I always seem to like those guys. So Marciulionis, Kaluma, Davis, Dixon. I like all of those selections for the Lakers. I love what they did. I do give them a B+. Like, Thiero is fine there. I had him around 29 or 30. Doesn't like this huge steal, and Dixon's good value. They don't have a high-level draft pick in this class, but that's almost as well as you can do with the resources that you had at that point. So it's really strong to me to be able to come away with that class. The only team that had a lottery pick in this draft class is the next team we're going to talk about, and that is the Phoenix Suns. At pick number 10, they selected Khaman Maluach, who could easily have gone at 7 to the Pelicans. Probably should have. Could easily have gone at any point after that. Could have gone to the Raptors at 9, who, shout out to the Raptors. And you know that I'm taking the piss when I say I criticize Raptors fans. I don't hate Raptors fans. Some of you can be a little on the obsessed or, some may say bootlicking your own team. That's okay. You're fans. I'm just here to give an objective take. Them extending Jakob Poeltl is insane. What are you doing? We'll talk about. I would have already talked about that on the free agency show earlier on. They could have taken him, but the Suns, and apparently there's that clip that came out a week ago. You saw Rich Paul talking to Matt Ishbia, trying to maneuver so that Maluach went to Phoenix. Cool. I give Phoenix overall a B+. It was very strange to see the Maluach pick announced. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then they trade for Mark Williams and the same thing. Which, if that had have happened separate of each other, I would have loved both moves. Them together, a little weird. I don't know what that means for Nick Richards. He might be on a different team at the time we're recording this. There's also Osa Ighodaro, who showed a little bit last season. Maluach, I think, is an NBA starting center. Will he ever be a 34-minute guy? Probably not. A 30-minute Clint Capella upside guy? Like, to be a 7-foot-tall rim runner and play 34, 35 minutes a night, you have to be one of the most insane conditioned athletes of all time. And that is why Rudy Gobert is the outlier. Because he is one of the best athletes literally of all time at that height. And what he does. Now, I don't know if Maluach can do that. Maluach might be able to shoot. It might be he can shoot like Jonas Valanciunas, which is not great, but maybe he can shoot a little bit. His rim protection stuff, you'd want it to be a little bit better than what it was at Duke. It's not terrible. It's fine. But it's a strong pick in this area. And his rebound ability, his free throw shooting numbers are incredibly strong. His field goal percentage overall is really good. And the thing that's frustrating is that he will just be, I'm guessing, Mark Williams' backup and probably the third string guy immediately. It won't take long to overtake Nick Richards, but we know that Mark is probably going to have some health concern issues. I like Maluach long-term in Dynasty. I like him a little bit in redraft. We do have to see how everything plays out with Phoenix, and we'll talk more about that through in August as well. But Maluach is a strong pick at pick number 10. I like it. The size is there. Shooting upside is there. Finishing is there. Rebounding is there. Defense is there. Passing, probably not. But I do like a lot of what Maluach produced. And then what they did is they made a move to trade up from the Minnesota Timberwolves to get pick number 31 and select Rasheed Fleming in that spot. And I thought Fleming could have easily been a guy that went inside the top 20 maybe. I wouldn't have taken him there, but 25 at least. He's a little older, 21. And you can look at the numbers and go, well, he played at St. Joe's and the team's not particularly strong. So all the stuff we take a grain of salt. And I understand that, right? But it's not like he went out there and had 29 usage. He had a 21 usage, which is fine. He averaged 17 points with 10 rebounds. He averaged 1.6 and 1.8 blocks per 36 minutes. He's a 6'9" power forward, and the power forward on this team is Ryan Dunn, who is really good as a defender, but really struggles offensively. Fleming's got the size. A Fleming Williams or a Fleming Maluach front court is easily something you can see happening. And if Fleming's shooting, and he hit 2 threes a game per 36 minutes at 39%, if it works, then you actually can play Dunn, Fleming, Maluach together. You could do that. And then we'll see what happens with Booker or whatever other guards they've got around, or Jalen Green is there, and we'll see, and Dylan Brooks is there as well, getting minutes. There's a lot happening, but Fleming is someone that I think at pick 31 has future starter upside. He's got actually future fantasy, not beast, but fantasy contributor upside as well. So, hard for me to be too critical of what Phoenix did with those picks. They're all really, really strong, I think. The next one they made at pick 41 is another pick that, again, I liked. Overall, I do give them a B+ for their grade. Kobe Bryant has an argument to be the best shooter in the draft. One of the 3 Kobes that were picked. Bryant is your Kentucky guard. And I need to apologize for this. I should have apologized later on. I was talking about the abilities of Kentucky guards coming through. And someone was saying, who's the next Kentucky guard? And someone rightfully pointed out, you say Kentucky guard because that was a thing forever. And yes, it was. But what you really meant to say, I can't remember the person who told me this, but he said, what you really meant to say is Calipari guards. I went, yeah, you're right. Because it's not about the school, it's about the system that John Calipari put them in. And John Calipari does not coach Kentucky anymore. So while Kobe Bryant is technically a Kentucky guard, he's not a Kentucky Calipari guard. So we don't have that suppression of skills of these first-round players from a Kentucky guard scenario that then thrive. Shea, Murray, Booker. There's a million of these guys. Marcus Teague. There's a lot of those guys that do thrive, but that is not a thing anymore because Calipari does not coach Kentucky, so I apologize for that. Kobe Bryant, though, look, 6'7", guess what? 22 years of age, 23 years of age, shooting guard from Kentucky. Like, we love a lot of the stuff from him. 44% on threes. He hit over 3 per 36. The problem is, there's literally nothing else. He doesn't get to the line. There's no assists. There's no steals, which is a troublingly bad number. And the difference between him and like Will Riley, for example, who went in the first round, who's a tall guard as well, but had an even worse steal percentage and shot worse. I don't know why there was 20 spots between the two of them. I like Breyer more than I like Will Riley. So again, having someone like this that can move in as a shooter and maybe be like a Grayson Allen-ish type of player in the future, I think they did really well. Their two-way guy was CJ Huntley, who is fine, but I don't really think there's a huge amount that we need to go into with CJ. We've got one more team left. It is a team that historically has been horrendous in a lot of the stuff that they've done, mainly through ownership and some of the disgusting decisions that they make there. But it's the Sacramento Kings. Now, they did not have a first-round pick, but I actually really like what they did in the draft. And like I said, I'm not just going to hate on a team because I hate on them. I'm going to hate on what they do because of their moves. But this is really good from Sacramento. They were able to trade back in with the Oklahoma City Thunder to get pick number 24. And they didn't have to give up a huge amount. I think they won that trade pretty clearly. At pick 24, they choose Nick Clifford, who's a guy that many thought would go inside the top 15. Many had him mocked. He's definitely not getting past Miami. Miami loves him. He's great. He's fine. I think that the value of trading for that pick is fine. I think it's actually really good. I think Nick Clifford, given their lack of forward-sized players, makes a lot of sense. But again, he is an older player, played at Colorado State, who thrived on playing against some of the younger guys, didn't do a lot of this in the early parts of his career. He played 35 minutes a night, but he had an ability to do different things. Hey, you want me to be a defender? Do you want me to be a shooter? Do you want me to be a point guard and a passer and a facilitator? He did all of those things. He averaged 10 rebounds and 4.5 assists per 36 minutes last season. That's great. He shot 38% on threes. Again, that's great. He's a 6'6" wing. You worry about the fact that he's a senior and these things came as a senior and a junior. He probably should have come out of college last season. But whatever. He is a guy that's going to be on the bench behind DeMar DeRozan. But DeRozan's not the future of the Kings very clearly. Clifford I can see developing into a starting caliber player. Can I just see him developing into an all-star? Not really. Can I just see him developing into a high-level role player who can do bits and pieces of everything, who would be like, again, that sort of a guy from a fantasy perspective is a Nick Batum. He wants some rebounds, assists, and steals. He hits some threes. He'd do all those things. And then you go on and off of rosters in fantasy leagues. And that's sort of what I think Clifford could potentially bring. I like the value of getting the pick. I like picking Clifford there. I don't think it's like, wow, he's a top 10 player in this draft and you stole him at that area. But I do like the selection. And then they were able to get themselves at pick 42, another player who easily could have gone in the first round. And some people had inside the top 20. And I know Raf Barlow, our former host of Locked On NBA Big Board, had him like inside the lottery. And that's Maxime Reynaud. Now, Reynaud's a 22-year-old center who shoots a little bit from, well, not shoots a little bit, he's a good shooter from outside. 35% from three, hit over 2 threes per 36 minutes. 22 and 11 per 36 is great. And 1.5 blocks is fine. But he also started bringing those numbers up over the final, say, 10 games of the season. Changed some of his approach and started to focus more on protecting the rim. We've already seen, again, I don't know what else the Kings have done in free agency. Dennis Schroeder, don't understand it. Trading away Jonas Valanciunas for Dario Saric, though, is very intriguing because Saric is 100% cooked. 100% cooked. And the backup situation, the way that I said at the moment, is Reynaud could actually just compete for that spot immediately. Now, they could do other things. This is a pick 42 second-round player that is a rookie, and I don't know that he's going to have an impact in the NBA right away, but I can. And someone said this the other day, and was upset, not upset, but like how could you say that? But he could easily take over from Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis is a player that puts up great stats, but doesn't really contribute to winning at the highest level, and you need to build, and that's the problem with the Kings, you need to build around him, you need to build around DeRozan with very specific skills, and it makes it almost impossible to do. Maybe you need to do that with Reynaud, I don't know. But I know he's taller than Sabonis, I know he shoots better than Sabonis, I know he protects the rim better than Sabonis. I don't expect that Reynaud is taking over from Sabonis this season, or even next season. But I also don't think that Sabonis is going to be a long-term piece in Sacramento. I think that either he'll want out, or they'll just realize we can't do that with him, especially as he gets a little bit older. So with Reynaud, look to see, and I don't know what contract they've given him yet. Look to see what sort of a deal that is, and just look to see how they play him in year one. But I think that it was a smart move to draft Maxime Reynaud. I thought a lot of teams made mistakes in passing on him. And again, that is a W from the Kings. We'll see how they handle it from here, but it is a W. They also grabbed Dylan Cardwell, a power forward type on a two-way out of Auburn. It's a two-way player. The Kings really didn't use their back-end roster positions at all last season. His numbers are incredibly weird. He played 20 minutes a night. He averaged 5 points. Okay. They're obviously horrific numbers. He doesn't shoot. He's a finisher. He averaged only 5 rebounds, though. The block numbers are strong. He's a 6'11 power forward. I guess he'll become a center. It's fine as a pick. Or as a two-way guy, but not sure he's an NBA guy. And then the 2 Exhibit 10s, Pat McCaffrey and Isaac Nguez. I think that's how you pronounce that. Not going to talk huge amounts about those guys. But what I am going to talk about is that is the end of the show, and that is the end of the draft recap series. All 6 divisions done. And now we've got some more, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what the upcoming shows are. If you do go and look on YouTube, they'll all be preloaded and ready to premiere. But at the moment, I'm not exactly sure which ones I'm going to record for the rest of this time that I am away. But what you can do is just subscribe. You'll never miss an episode, audio or video-wise, when they come out. Enjoy the games at Summer League. If you are at Summer League and you happen to see me, come up and say hi. Have a chat. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.